Hello, this is Matthew Harris. I am here with Ben Maliszewski. Today is February the 3rd, 2017. I am doing this as part of the Mississippi Valley Library District. Today we are currently in the American Legion meeting room here at the Fairmont City Library. With me today, like I said, is Mr. Maliszewski. When and where were you born?
I was born in Fairmont City on March 29, 1927.
Okay. Who were your parents and what did they do for a living?
My father, same name as mine, Bernard J. Maliszewski Sr. My mother, Mary Ann, her married name was Maliszewski, and her maiden name was Maliszewski, or they shortened it to Marks.
Okay. Do you have any siblings?
Yes, have 3 children, 2 boys and a girl.
Okay. Have any of them served in the military or anyone else in your family served in the military?
None of my children served in the military, but I've got a grandson that graduated from West Point.
Okay. What were you doing before you entered into the service?
Well, really, I was just bouncing around. I was in my 3rd year of high school, and I don't know, I just couldn't get settled, so I left the high school and I went to work on the railroad, which was Pennsylvania at the time. And I worked there for about 3 months and still wasn't satisfied. So, like I said, I was only 17. I had to get my mother to sign for me, which she did, to get me into the Navy. And that's what I was doing prior to the Navy.
Okay. Did you have a reason for wanting to join the Navy instead of one of the other branches?
Well, the only thing, I didn't want to get in a foxhole. I figured I'd get 3 meals a day in the Navy, but had to fight the water. And that's what I did. I mean, really, we didn't, I can't say we didn't come under fire, but we did come under fire somewhat. But I still got my 3 meals a day and a bed to sleep in.
Very good. What were the early days of training like? What was going through your head? Was it tough? Was it just came natural?
Yeah, it was tough. I went to Great Lakes Naval Camp for my boot camp training, and I enjoyed it. 17 years old. I mean, you get to do all the exercise. And I do remember one thing. When we first got to Great Lakes, our commanding officer, he was from the Marine Corps, and he was a good-looking Marine. And what he did, I guess the only way I can think about it is that he was going to see who or what he's got in the group that he was getting. And there was a field there that was a mile long. And he ran us around the field 3 times and had bivouac on it. You had to climb a wall and I forget what all else, but there was a number of things. And he ran around that field 3 times doing that. And there was some people dropping out, but I made it. I made all 3 times. But after that, he only ran us around that field once.
Okay. So it sounded like the instructors at first were maybe a little bit tough, but then once they got to know you, they lightened up some.
He was good, strict. Well, I guess you had to be, like in boot camp. Make sure that you do the right thing. But he was a good instructor. I got to say that.
Good, good. When you were in training, did they give you any specialized training at all?
No. No, it's just the regular training that they had going, and that was about it.
Okay. While you were in training, so the physical regimens and the barracks and the food and social life, things like that, you were able to adapt to them pretty easily. And do you remember? I know you said you got your 3 meals a day when you're on the ship, but how was it when you're in training?
Well, training it was good. I mean, I got 3 meals a day, except there was one time we went firefighting, learned how to fight a fire. We got back kind of late, and the restaurant, not the restaurant, but the galley was closed, and our commander was trying to get it open so we can get something to eat. And being young like that, I remember you get pretty hungry. But anyway, they wouldn't open the galley. But some way or other, he did get somebody down there to open the galley, and we got our food. But the people that was in charge of the galley at that time, they was put out to sea. So they lost their job by not opening up that galley for us.
Is there any other stories you want to talk about from training at all, or?
No, it was just normal training. Well, yeah, this one story. I guess we were about 2 months or something like that into training, and we had a lot of stuff built up in us because going to bed at 9 o'clock and getting up at a certain time, and being young as we are, you get a lot of stamina built up in you. So this one night, I don't know, somebody started it, and we started to have fun. Everybody was still wide awake. I forget what time it was, but it was after 9, I know. But anyway, we had our master at arms there watching us, and he came in and tried to quiet us down. Well, he did for maybe a minute or two, but then again it started up again. I guess it happened 3 different times like that. And finally our commanding officer came in there and seen that, I guess we were full of energy or whatever. Yeah, I remember now what time it was. It was about 12 o'clock. But anyway, he got us up out of the bunk, took us out to the field, and ran us through a lot of exercising, running around the field and whatnot. And then he let us go back to sleep, which we did.
All right. I know that you were out there during the war. Where did you serve during the war?
In the South Pacific.
South Pacific. Okay. And what were you doing during the war?
Well, when I first got aboard the ship, at that time, the war was letting up somewhat, so they was getting oversupply in men, so they were cutting out a lot of schools. Like I said, they had me lined up to go to radio and gunner school, but this didn't happen because they washed out a lot of guys that were going to be pilots. And when they came back into the regular Navy, they filled up the school that this was happening in. I think it was V5 they called it. But anyway, they filled it up, so that left me out. So Anyway, like I said, war was slowly stopping, and they put me in the amphibious. So we went to West Virginia for our training in amphibious. And I guess we spent about 3 months there, 4 months. And then we picked up our ship. Now should I continue?
Absolutely, absolutely.
We picked up our ship, which was called LST 836, at Philadelphia. So that's where they were building them. And we took it down the Ohio River that ran into the Mississippi River. Then we went down the Mississippi River and got to the Gulf of Mexico. And we stayed at New Orleans there for a short while. And then we had to go down and did what they call a shakedown cruise or shakedown on the boat. And that was going to be held at Hollywood, Florida. Now we were supposed to be there for 2 weeks doing the shakedown. And I thought to myself, man, we're going to see Florida, get off that ship and see what Florida looks like. But you know what? The 2 weeks that we stayed down there, we never got out of the ship once. But on our way to Florida, we did have a little mishap because we ran into a storm in our LST tank ship. It was sort of rolling and whatever not. And the most of us, which were about my age on that ship, got seasick. So anyway, I started on the fantail of the ship. I had to lay down because my stomach was going round and round. And then when it quieted down somewhat, I headed for my bunk so I could lay in it. But anyway, I got maybe 10 feet and I had to lay down again. And this happened about 5 different times before I was able to get to my bunk at the cabin, at the ship. And I was maybe about 5 feet from my bunk, and I got sick again. My stomach was going round and round. I couldn't make it to the bunk, so I laid on the floor again, and till my stomach settled down. Then I made it to the bunk, and I strapped myself in, and that was the end of my seasickness.
All right. Now, while you were serving in the South Pacific, was it easy to keep in touch with people at home?
By letters.
By letters.
That was it. We'd be able to write letters. Naturally, they would go over your letters and take out what they didn't want the people at home to know, which you didn't get to know very much to begin with.
Now, while you were in the South Pacific, what were some of your duties, or what were you doing while you were out?
Well,
there?
At first I was a seaman, and we had a baker aboard ship. He was 38 years old, and the job of baking was at a premium in the Navy at that time. So they put me in, or how I got into it, I don't remember, but I became a baker striker. And that was my duty all the time that I was in the South Pacific. I became a baker striker. It was taught by a man named Tom Purcell. He was 38 years old, had 3 kids at home and a wife. But he was very learned in baking. As a matter of fact, he came from New York, and the bakery that he worked at was Cushman Bakery. And we never used any of the Navy recipes. He had all the recipes in his mind, pardon me, all the recipes in his mind, and that's what we went by, and they were beautiful recipes. But that's what I did the rest of the time I was in the Navy.
Okay. Were your other seamen, did you guys become almost family? Were you guys close, so close?
Oh yes, we had a beautiful ship. We had a beautiful skipper. His name was Elmo Sullivan. And to him, the men came first. And we made some very, very good friendship. Like I said, I used to write to several of them after I got home. But it eventually panned out where I quit writing. But we were very close.
Okay. While you were serving, did you ever see any casualties?
I never seen casualties, but we made the invasion of, we helped make the invasion of Okinawa. And when we got our ship unloaded, we went out we went back out to Buckner Bay and anchored there. And anyway, the hospital ship USS Hope, it had, from what we heard, had a full capacity of wounded men. And I understand they were going to take him to Guam. And they came at the rear end of our ship at the, I'm having trouble making names now, but anyway.
You're okay.
At the rear of our ship, we seen it, and they had the light on the Red Cross. And it got out of Buckner Bay, and no sooner it got out of Buckner Bay, on a radio it told us that it got hit by a kamikaze plane. But it never sank. I guess it only got hit by one kamikaze plane. But matter of fact, something like that runs chills up and down your back. I've never seen the casualties, but I understood they had a shipload of casualties. Now, I don't know whether you remember, what's his name, correspondent? I had his name a while ago, but can't think of it, but he was one of them correspondents that liked to be up on a front line from we were told. And he got killed. And the mountain that he got killed on, we was able to see the mountain from where we were anchored at. I still can't come up with the name, but anyway, that's about the closest I came to seeing any casualties.
Okay. Where were you when the war ended?
When the war ended, we were on our way to Okinawa again, and I think they were gathering people in the ships and what all not to make an invasion of Japan. So we were out in the middle of the sea, someplace, and but we were on our way to Okinawa, and over the radio it came that the war has ended, that the atomic bomb has dropped. And I can't tell you exactly where we were, but I ran into our skipper aboard our ship, and I asked him about this, being true. He says he doesn't know. He said we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, that's where I was when the war ended. When the war stopped, and we kept going to Okinawa.
Did you guys stay in Okinawa for a while, or did you guys?
For a short while.
Short while.
We got loaded up, and anyway, I guess we were taking, we were taking a group called Acorn 54 to Japan, which on the island of Honshu, opposite of Tokyo, on the other end of the island. We took this Acorn 54, was a group that rebuilt airports. And anyway, we stayed at Okinawa until we got together, got our ship loaded, and we were leaving in a convoy. And on our way to Japan, we ran into a storm. So we had to separate to get away from each other, because a lot of times in a storm like that, you don't have control of your ship. But it took us 3 days to get back together again. But that's going to Japan. And when we got to Japan, they gave us liberty, but they say only during the daytime, and make sure you got people with you. Don't go by yourself. So that was our story.
Okay. Now, when you left there, did you come straight back to the United States, or did you make any stops?
We made some stops. We made stops on the way back to Okinawa. And I don't know, I can't remember what we did, but I know on our way back, we was on our way home, and we were taking some loads from one island to another, and I can't remember the names, but we ended up in Guam. And then in Guam, we stayed there for a while. Well, when we got to Guam, it was late at night or late in the evening, and they had the submarine nets drawn on this there bay. So we had to circle Guam all night long until they took the submarine nets up again in the morning. But anyway, while we were doing this, I guess all the mail came to Guam and then distributed, to wherever it was supposed to go. But they say we had mail in Guam. So our skipper said if somebody wants to drive the small boat into Guam, you can get there with a small boat and pick up the mail, that'd be great. So our coxswain that we had, he was a great coxswain. So he said no, he'd drive the boat or command the boat. But anyway, but they said they needed another man, they needed a lineman. So I said I'd be the lineman. So him and I, we were out in the sea. We got out in the sea, and I've never seen swells as large as it was driving that boat, out in the sea until we got into the bay where we picked up our mail. So we couldn't wait till the next day, so everybody wanted their mail right now. And then when we left Guam, we went to Wake Island. But we had a bunch of Seabees aboard ship that we picked up in Guam. And we were taking them to Wake Island, so I guess they had work to do there. But anyway, on our ship, whenever we picked up a group of men, we always let them eat the first meal first, because the ship's company would always come first. But anyway, we let the new men aboard ship, eat first. And here I was a Baker Striker, and I was handing out the cakes and the pies and stuff like that to them. And we was waiting for them to come by, and anyway, they weren't coming. So to my surprise, anyway, I went looking for them, and they were all on the side of the ship seasick. So then we let the ship's company come in and then fed the guys whenever they was able to eat again. And then from Wake Island, I guess we went to Hawaii again. We stopped in Hawaii for a short period. And then we headed back to the States. We went to Astoria, Oregon. And that's where they decommissioned our ship. But while they decommissioned our ship, when we got to Astoria, Oregon, I was in the first half. They let half the ship's crew go home for a 30-day leave and kept the other half. But while I was home on a 30-day leave, they decommissioned our ship and put it in mothballs. And everything we had aboard our ship was gone. And being I was a fresh baker, I had all these here recipes from this Tom Purcell, because I should have said this before, but while we were in Japan, he had enough points that he could get discharged, because with the family that he had, it didn't take much for him. So they flew him back to the United States and discharged him. But anyway, I had all the recipes that he had in his head written in a book, and when I got back, that book was gone. So I lost all of that, which was beautiful. I mean, it had a bunch of beautiful recipes in there. So I had to start all over again.
Now, when you, excuse me, when you guys came back to the United States, was everybody very welcoming of you guys returning?
Yes, we had no problem. Well, like I said, we went to Astoria, Oregon to decommission our ship. And it was just outside of Portland. I forget how far it was. I know we had to take a bus to Portland, Oregon. And anyway, that's where we spent a lot of our time until it come time for us to be discharged. But the sad part about it being, waiting for a discharge, we all went to Great Lakes again to get discharged. And being a baker, I had to have 2 more points than the regular seamen to get discharged. Because a baker was at a premium. They upped it 2 more points. I think it was 38 points you had to have, and I had to have 40 to get discharged. So it took me 2 more weeks to get them points. I forget how we got them. But anyway, I finally got discharged at Great Lakes. And I was there all by myself. I had to make new friends. And I think that was the loneliest time I ever had in the Navy, in 2 weeks.
Okay. Now I know you had just said it was lonely that time, but was it hard for you to readjust back to just civilian life, being here in the United States and off a boat?
No, I didn't have any trouble, getting back to civilian life. The only trouble is knowing what I want to do when I got back to civilian life, which I did go. Let's see, what did I do? I did go to work for Gray Bar Electric for a short while, because at that time they were going strictly to college people, and I only had a high school education. But they said they would keep me if I would make an attempt to go to college, which I did. I went to St. Louis U, got accepted there, and had my books and everything. I'm ready to start college at St. Louis U. But in the meantime, I got married. I was 23 years old, and there was a job on a railroad that came up. So, and it was paying more money, and naturally when you're young, you're looking for more money. So I went to the railroad to work, and I had the job I had, it was good. I was in a car repair and inspection. And I spent the rest of my life working I left Gray Bar and spent the rest of my life working on the railroad, which was Pennsylvania at the time. And then it went into Penn Central. Penn Central went bankrupt and the government took over the railroad. And I think they had it for about 5 or 6 years. And they said, we got to get out of the railroad business because we're not in the railroad business. So they sold it and made Conrail out of it, which became a good railroad. And that's where I retired from. After putting 39 years at Conrail, I retired at 62. And I guess, I don't know when I told you if that's the rest of my story or not.
You can talk as long as you want to talk. If that's what you have, that's what you have.
Well, after, I retired, Conrail sold out, and they sold part of it to CSX. I think it was 56%, and in Norfolk Southern bought the rest of the railroad. So from Pennsylvania to Penn Central to Conrail, and now part of the old Pennsylvania is owned by CSX and Norfolk Southern.
Okay. Now you are part of the American Legion, correct?
Yes.
Is there any other veterans organizations, or would you like to talk about the American Legion at all?
No, that's the only veteran organization I belong to. I belong to it since the inception of the American Legion. I remember when I was home on a 30-day leave, the men in Fairmont City at the time was trying to decide whether they want to have the VFW or the American Legion. But they decided they'd go to the American Legion because everybody could belong to the American Legion once you're in the service. But VFW, you have to serve overseas before you can belong to the VFW. So that's the only veteran organization I belong to, but I belong to several other organizations too.
Okay. If you want to talk about those, you can, or it's up to you.
Well, I belong to the Holy Name Society and American Legion right now, and that's about it. I know we had another organization called the CAC, Catholic Athletic Corporation or something like that. But anyway, this was, the CAC originated to the point that the money that they would make would be spent for athletic equipment for the Holy Rosary School. And that's why the CAC came by. And then it eventually went down because the Holy Rosary School went down also.
Okay. Would you like to show pictures or medals or anything at all?
Well, I can't.
It's up to you. If you don't feel the need.
I should have put down on a piece of paper what they were for. But I know this one, well, that's for the Pacific, and it shows that I participated in an invasion, which was Okinawa.
Okay.
Then it's ruptured duck, they called it. But I don't know what these other ones are for.
Okay. Would you like to show your picture?
If
at
you
all?
want to, go ahead. Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, the medals in the picture. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll just show them.
Yeah, I don't know what they're, I can't remember what they're for. I should have wrote it down.
You're okay. You earned them, so you need the respect to let the world see these.
Will it, in a bag like that, will that show through it?
Yes, yes, it does.
Well, these two are the same.
Okay.
I think this one shows discharge from U.S. Navy. And this shows the World War II memorial.
Sorry, can I show the picture too?
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah. Do you
17 years old.
know, 17 years old. Do you know where this was from? The picture was taken?
No, it was taken at Great Lakes, but I don't remember. I don't know. There was a cameraman there, and he took a picture of our whole company and everything else, and individuals like that. So I really don't remember the name of the place.
Okay. Not a problem. Were there any life lessons that you felt like you learned from being in the Navy?
Well, I enjoyed being in the Navy, let's put it that way. I don't know whether I should have made a career out of it or not. I keep thinking about it every now and then. But I'm happy with the life that I had. I'm glad it turned out the way it did. And I ended up good, let's put it that way. But one thing I want to emphasize for the younger children, finish your schooling, get your college education. That's the main thing in life. Because once you get the college education, that's one thing they can't take away from you. It's, I don't know, I just wish I would have done it. I know later on in life, I went to a welding school, and I went there for about 6 months. And I made, well, there was 2 grades that I had, 2 items, or two things I took up. One was on what they call different irons and what they call welding. And I made an A and a B. And I wish I would have been younger, or I could have really enjoyed going back to school. For when I was younger, I didn't care for school too much, and that was a bad idea. And I just wish I would have taken school a lot more seriously. And that's for the younger ones. Get your education. That's the main thing. And like I said, once you get that education, nobody can take that away from you.
Is there anything else you would like to talk about, or any stories or anything else?
I don't know right now. I think I had a couple more stories, but I can't think of them right now.
It's okay. It's okay.
I guess when you get up in age like I'm getting, you do forget.
Well,
But like I said, that education means a whole lot.
All right. Well, if you have nothing else, I would like to thank you very much.
Is that it?
That is it.
Good.
I appreciate it. So, thank you very much.
Okay.